Approximately 18 months after the liberation, Marawi was still not involved in the brutal and fertile war that its inhabitants were involved in. Bong S. Sarmiento on October 17, 2017. President Rodrigo Duterte declared military triumph over Islamic State-aligned Moti and Abu Sayyaf group to besiege the country's only Islamic city on May 23, 2017. Following the regime's failed endeavor to capture Abu Sayyaf group, bellwether is Nilon Hapilon, the Emir of IS in Southeast Asia. At the terminus of March 2019, however, approximately 12,700 families or approximately 70,000 individuals out of 360,000 were urged to flee Marawi in May 2017 perpetuates to suffer from nasty void and sites such as the Dipatuan and transitional shelters in relatives' homes. Still stuck on ruins approximately 18 months after the liberation, the 250-acre Ground Zero, the former main battlefield now referred to as the MAA or Most Affected Area, remains a dreadful visual perception on the horizon, offers little hope for the ravaged city to expeditiously climb from the ashes of war. Recollect TFBM negotiated two different consortiums led by state-owned Chinese companies to become the sole developer for Marawi rehabilitation, utilizing the Swiss challenge, a way in which unsolicited proposals for a public project are taken and offered for matching by others. Chinese leadership. Months after Marawi's release, no groundbreaking has occurred due to the fact that the TFBM are actively negotiating with the Chinese-led consortium to rehabilitate the town through a joint challenge acquiescent. It bumped of an abundance of time that delayed the commence of rehabilitation on Ground Zero. Liningding verbalized in a March 20 interview on the sideline of the first congressional inquiry of the denotes of the Lower House Committee on Disaster Management. Subcommittee on Marawi Rehabilitation. The first proponent, the incipient Marawi Consortium or BNC, was antecedently called in March 2018 and 3 months later in June. TFBM terminated negotiation with the team because of its inability to place licensed technical and financial files in acceptable form. To prove licensed capacity, technical capacity, and consortium financial capacity, all requisite to participate in joint venture activity as prescribed in the GV guidelines. The Marawi people are waiting for. To be sure, China has the kind of replication to cause to capitalize on the Marawi that has genuinely ascended from the horrors of war. Donated very heftily ponderous equipment for all purposes and purposes for $3 million deployed in the instruction of transitional shelter types of Alfresco Ground Zero. In June 2017, China donated weapons and ammunition worth 370 pesos million to utilize the fight of Filipino troops against Islamic militants in Marawi and add the attainment to the 15 peso million mitigation donation available to such victims. Leninding categorically thanked Beijing for his heartfelt avail in Marawi, attributed by administration officials to one of the effects of hitting family contributors between China and the Philippines after Duterte's kind of pivot in the former area of his pursuit of an independent policy in faraway places. For some reason in this first year of office, which for the most part was fair to all stakeholders as decision makers. We would relish to optically discern authentic absorption of stakeholders who are genuinely involved in decision making to record the rehabilitation and reconstituting of their homes and city. Attar openly verbalized in a manifesto submitted to the legislative inquiry in a certain major way. What transpired was a presentation and non-consultation of the MAA plan in public. He concretely told me the news, pointing out TFBM's MAA Master Development Plan for all purposes and purposes is equivalent to that of the Chinese lead incipient. MMA denies and had fully auricularly discerned during the consultation dialogue with the ADPS internally displaced person within the MAA 24 barangays in Marawi City on March 19, 2019 at the provincial capital gymnasium in a fundamentally major way. He worships that if contractors from China surmount the rehabilitation project, they will surely bring Chinese workers, citing the rush of Chinese workers in the country working in the types of offshore gaming operation which would certainly lose the job of local construction workers in a generally sizably voluminous way.